Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in his career. They're 7-8 with 2 games to go. Do they finish 9-8 and keep the streak alive, or possibly, let's say, finish 8-9 and take that 7th seed?
It's crazy, man. It's like you look at the Steelers, just from the eye test, right? And it's like this is a bad football team.
Week 16 is behind us. A couple more teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. A couple coaches have been eliminated, and a couple quarterbacks have been eliminated of their starting jobs. First things first, looks like Carson Wentz is going to get the start at home over Taylor Heinicke against the Cleveland Browns. Is this the right move?
I mean, it depends, man, because it's like the tale of two different things, man. When you look at Wentz, he has the better stats versus Heinicke. You know what I mean? I think completion percentage is kind of similar, but the main difference is just the wins and losses. Wentz is like 2-4. You know what I mean? Wentz, and obviously, Heinicke has a better record. So you have a guy who's they rallied behind. But I mean, when Wentz got in there, he made Wentz looking plays. You know what I mean? They was competitive. Obviously they came across the 49ers. I think that was inevitable. We knew what was going to happen.
Right.
But, I think at this point, I think Ron Rivera is looking for another spark. I think he sees the writing on the wall with Taylor Heinicke, realizing, like, what our floor, well, not even floor, like, what our ceiling is. And I think with Wentz, he knows the possibility of a higher ceiling with a guy with a better arm. You know what I mean? Whether they win or lose, that is to be debated. But, I think he's just looking for a spark at this point in the season, so I'm not mad at it.
I think the Taylor Heinicke experiment was fun, but I do think we can all agree he is a backup quarterback. I don't think he's a top 32 cornerback in the league, quarterback. Yeah. But Wentz, I do think, provides a higher floor as well as a higher ceiling. A lower floor, but with a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
With Heinicke, you kind of know you're going to ride in the slow lane. He's going to get you where you need to go, but it's going to take a while. Wentz, he's going to speed on the highway,
yeah.
But he's going to take his chances, you know what I mean? So he does provide a higher ceiling. Switching over, Zach Wilson got booed to the bench against Jacksonville. And there's no coming back from that. That's it for him, I think.
Yeah, I think it's already been, rumors, reports has been out there. I think they're ready to cut ties, you know what I mean? And what has this been? Just the second season that is crazy. But I mean, right. I'm not mad at that. That's one thing in recent years that I do agree with. I mean, look, if you drafting a guy, you believed him to be a certain guy, it's no point in just kind of hanging on. I mean, these coaches, they're in the building with them. They see it every day. The fan base, they look like they just tired at this point. You know what I mean? You booing them. And then, the product on the field just hasn't been great, up until this
right.
point. Mike White, he looked better in this short stint. I thought Flacco, when he had chances early in the season, he looked good. For Zach, I just think the excuses has ran out. Maybe he just goes to a different place, different culture, different system, and maybe he's able to turn it around. But I'm not surprised at all, to be honest.
I do think, to be honest, that was probably his last snap in a Jets uniform. It kind of like, to parallel it, it shows how good of a coaching staff they have over there with how horrible he's played in the games they've won. It's phenomenal. Staying in that game but switching teams, Jacksonville is in a fight for the AFC South, and they're likely going to win it because I think they have to win out. No, I think all roads lead to Week 18 no matter what.
So Jacksonville, yeah, they've now overtaken first in the AFC South, so they're 7-8. So now that they have that in the pocket, you know what I mean? I think even if they was to lose, you got Tennessee going into a tough game with Dallas this week. It's very possible that they could lose this next game and still end up in first. You know what I mean? So I don't even truly believe they have to win out. Stranger things has happened. But good ball club, man. I can't say enough about Doug Peterson, man. You know what I mean? He looks good, man. He got the team playing behind him. They playing hard. The offense, it look like they just pulling out all, all wrinkles, all stops every game. So I think Jacksonville is a team that I think they'll be here. I don't see Tennessee getting back into things. Obviously, with Tannehill going out, the Colts, we already know what they are. It's no catching up. So I think it's Jacksonville's to lose, and I don't think they will.
I agree. Staying at the quarterback position, Tua looked terrible against Green Bay. 3 picks in the fourth quarter kind of gave the game away. Green Bay continues their little hot streak, but then it comes out Monday morning, I believe it was, Tua's in concussion protocol, took another hit to the head. Is his health a concern at this point?
I mean, it has to be. I don't think we can ignore it, man. What's that, the third concussion on the season? You know what I mean?
Right.
And normally, you know what I mean, I would think a guy would sit, you know what I mean? And I thought even after the, the really bad one we saw, I thought he could have shut it down for the season. But, it was a split. And I don't have the, the exact stats. But, before on the concussion, obviously he was playing a decent game. I think there was no picks at the time. He had the 2 touchdowns, one to Waddle, one to Hill. And then, the concussion came and then it all broke loose. But how much stock do you put into that, whether there's been a concussion or he just playing bad in general?
Right.
I'm on both sides of it. I think he's just playing bad right now. And I believe, the concussion is just an excuse just to kind of lay their head on right now.
I can see that too, but I do think if his health is a concern, when do you pivot? Because you can't afford to have a guy out there who keeps getting damage to the head, man. How many of those shots can he take before it's the last one? You know what I mean?
It's just weird, man. I had seen something where, it was a little debate going on. It was like, if you was to pay attention to Tua and the way he falls on all these sacks, like all his concussions have come from him, like having that whiplash effect, where he's just snapping his head back and hitting hitting the turf or whatever. So it was like, how much of that is him trying to protect his hip and falling that way? And the way he's falling is kind of, putting him at a disadvantage as far as his head, and the injuries he's taking.
It just looks so violent
he's trying
when
to
he hits
protect
the
his
ground.
hip when he's falling.
Right. It does look violent when he goes down. Not to spend too much time on that, I do think Miami's going to miss this playoff hunt. I think they've lost like 4 straight. They've kind of lost a spark that they had previously. And it looks like the Patriots, the Jets, and possibly the Steelers. That's what I want to talk about. So Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in his career. They're 7-8 with 2 games to go. Do they finish 9-8 and keep the streak alive? Or possibly, let's say, finish 8-9 and take that 7th seed?
It's crazy, man. It's like you look at the Steelers, just from the eye test, right? And it's like, this is a bad football team. But what they do, they always win ugly. It's never a pretty win. You know what I mean? Like you never look at the scoreboard like, or even if you're watching them, it just seems like it's a struggle. But they just find ways to win, and getting TJ Watt back at this point of the season, I think it's been great. It's been a spark. The defense is back. Playing high level football. And I wouldn't be surprised, man. Mike Tomlin, look, they just finds a way, man. They find a way. But do they sneaking over a team like Miami Dolphins? Miami is going on five losses in a row, I believe now. It's crazy.
It's 4 or 5.
I want to say 5, man. I could be wrong. I had to double check that, but all the teams in front of them, if you look at it, like the Patriots, they're here and there. The Jets, same thing. It's been a roller coaster. Tennessee, we've spoken on them. You know what I mean? I don't think we have to talk much about the Raiders telling the roster, but I just think it's a little too late. The Steelers is a team that's, they've been down, and then they just constantly just fighting and clawing, and then, before you know it, the same thing happened last year. They just find a way. They find a way. So I wouldn't be surprised at all, man. I just think, what's the last 2 games on that schedule?
Miami's got...
No, not Miami, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, let me see. Pittsburgh's got Baltimore on the 1st, and then the Browns. So away to Baltimore and at home against Cleveland.
So 2 tough divisional games. I don't see them winning though. I'm gonna be honest. They'll drop 1.
I
could see them possibly beating Baltimore, you know what I mean, in an upset or something like that, and then being favored to Cleveland and losing down there or something like that. But yeah, 2 tough divisional games. I don't see it. You know what I mean? But I think I would have to hang my hat on. I look, it's crazy, but it's like I'm still sitting here like Miami. They're gonna turn it around, right? Miami, they're gonna turn it around. I just don't think the Jets are there yet. So in my like just kind of my gut feeling, I would have to say, you know what I mean, the Patriots, they are not a team that's similar to the Steelers, where it's like, you know, Bill just continues to find a way. Even games they should lose or should win, you know what I mean, they always there. Like they almost upset the Bengals. The Bengals said got up to a, you know what I mean, a good lead on them and they ran it down, they made it interesting at the end. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots, you know what I mean, was to overtake if anybody.
And that's also a phenomenal coaching job too, with poor talent from Belichick this year.
Yeah.
It looks like if Miami can squeak into the 7th seed, how it's lined up right now, we're gonna have the Tyreek Hill revenge game at Arrowhead, first round of the playoffs. Sign me up.
Oh yeah. He been
I'm
talking
there
that
for
talk too.
that.
So look,
Right.
you want some ratings? Get your popcorn ready, man. He been talking. He said he got something for him, so that'll be dope, man.
But yeah, shout out to Pittsburgh winning that game on Franco Harris night. Switching over to Nathaniel Hackett and the Denver Broncos. As we all know, Nathaniel Hackett was let go earlier this week after the loss to who'd they play? The Cardinals?
Nah, it wasn't the Cardinals. Who did the Broncos
Doesn't
play?
matter though.
It was a bad loss. It was a very bad loss. The Rams, like yeah,
Yep.
you don't get beat like that
And
to the
Baker
Rams.
lit
Baker
them
Mayfield,
up.
Baker, and look, Baker had a hell of a game, and you know, Russell Wilson, man, it just looks bad, man, all the way around. I think you know if you watch that game, it just looked like the team kind of just tapped out. Like
Right.
if you looked at the body language, you know what I mean?
Especially the defense.
Like once they was down in that game to the Rams, it just seemed like they had no fight. You see the arguing, you know, on the sideline. Just if you read the body language, I think it sucks to do it this early, but I think if you're an owner, it makes sense to read the room. And you know, even though he's a first year head coach, it just seems like he's lost the locker room already. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you lose the locker room, tough decisions just has to be made, man. You know what I mean? Should he have had a longer leash? I don't know, but I think the difference between him and other coaches that will have a longer leash, you don't go into a fresh team with a good roster as what we thought Denver had, and then go and get you an established quarterback, and then you put that type of product on the field. So I just think it kind of just rushed things up a little bit, man. What you think about that?
I do think Denver's got a problem on their hands. When they brought Russ over there, they treated him as an equal to the front office,
Yeah.
and they were allowing him in decision making. Now you're going to have to bring a coach in there and tell Russ that he needs to reflect on what he accomplished this season and to take a step back. Is he going to be willing to do that after all the promises that were made to him?
Yeah.
That's the question.
And it's crazy
If
though.
you
No, before you move on, I was just wondering, like, combined with that, you see the news of a Sean Payton. He comes out and he says, "I'm ready," and then I'm gonna bring Vic Fangio on. That's my top defensive coordinator. And at the same time, the Denver job opens up. But would they be able to bid on the Sean Payton with Vic Fangio, and would he be willing to come back to the same franchise in a lesser role? I think that changes the dynamic a little bit.
how many of those players on defense are going to respect Vic Fangio that were there under his last stint? You know what I mean?
I think a lot. They love Vic over there, though.
Right.
I think
but
so.
I'm saying, can he show back up in a lesser role and say, like, that's the boss now, but you still listen to me over here?
Yeah.
If that can be established, then that's a great move.
Yeah.
But I don't think Peyton wants that.
Nah, I don't think so. I think Peyton, if anybody, I think it'll be a young, exciting roster. I think Sean Payton is probably looking at Arizona, but then, even with that situation, you got a Kyler Murray not coming back until like next October or even later.
If that,
I don't know, man. It's definitely gonna be some tough, decisions to be made. I think the obvious job for me, I would think, would be the Los Angeles Chargers, but I don't think Staley is going to be going out the door anytime soon, especially if they make the playoffs. So
no, they clinched a playoff spot with their win over the weekend, or I'm sorry, I guess that was Monday night, and that means Staley's sticking around, which actually kind of sucks for the Chargers. If he didn't make the playoffs this year, for sure he was gone. Lastly, I do want to talk about Tampa Bay, man. They look terrible. Brady looks terrible. He can't hit anybody in stride. Is this like the decline of Brady that we're finally seeing and we just don't want to admit it?
I don't think so, man. See, maybe it's just me. Like, I don't think Brady has fallen off that bad. I just think it's a lot of moving parts, no chemistry. You know what I mean? Especially the offensive line. I think with him, we all know Tom Brady is like, when an offensive line isn't right in front of him, he's not the same quarterback. He doesn't like to get touched.
Right.
So, and based off of that, he's going to throw the ball a lot faster than he should have. And if he don't trust his receivers or they're not on the same accord, then it's just going to be bad all the way around. But like you say, I don't want to make no excuses. I don't think it's a good ball club. But then, you know, I just want to be honest with the situation. You know, it just looks like they're heading to a game with the Cowboys, and you know, I just hope, I truly hope that, you know what I mean, that the Cowboys kind of just turn the clock this year, you know what I mean, and kind of just move forward. And that would, like, how much momentum would that be to beat a team like Tom Brady, get the monkey off your back, head into the playoffs, and what type of momentum would that be? But I wouldn't be surprised if they come out there and in this playoff time and they just look like a good ball club again, you know what I mean? But, you know, every week I'm like, will they look better? I don't know. Then you go against the Arizona Cardinals team with that quarterback in that situation, and it just kind of look like the same thing week after week. So I don't know, man. I think what we see is what it is at this point. I do.
No, I agree. I agree completely. I think too, I don't think this Tampa Bay team is just going to make the playoffs and turn things around. I think what you're seeing is what you're going to get, and they just happen to be in a terrible division. So I'm kind of looking forward to that matchup if we get it. But I'm also no, I mean it'll be them or Carolina pretty much, right?
Yeah, but you know, we'll see. I think Tampa Bay and Carolina, they still got to play each other, so we'll see how they play out. You know, Carolina, look with Sam Donald, they just sneaking around, so I don't want to count them out just yet.
Right.
But like you said, just the gut feel of me, man. I just feel like Tom Brady, they'll find a way. Just like that win, they didn't deserve a win against Arizona. It just seemed
Mm,
like the Cardinals did everything they could to lose that game, man. And like I watched it, I'm like, okay, like they find a way. But it had nothing to do with Tom Brady willing them out of it. You know what I mean?
right.
They just you know
They
seemed like the
Trace
Cardinals gave the
McSorley.
game away, to be honest. So you know, whether it's the Tampa Bay or the Carolina Panthers, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the Panthers, they playing good ball. I was surprised to see what they did to the Lions this week, man. You know, it's like I had a double take at the scoreboard, and you know, what I mean, I kind of was catching clips here and there, but man, like Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman, they both had over 100 yards, you know, before the first half, even in it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely a run heavy team. And you know, one thing about a run heavy team, you know, heading into December, well, you know, it's December now, but heading into January playoff football, that's one of the formula, man. So as long as the defense
Right.
steps up, they're gonna be all right.
They did lose J.C. Horn, and that's a big loss. I don't know how significant that injury was,
It's tough.
but I think it was they ran for over 300 yards on the Lions, which is more yards than any other team combined for against them in the month of December.
That's crazy. Because
So that is pretty.
Lions was turning around. They was playing good ball, especially on defending the run. So yeah.
With that being said, Week 16 is behind us. Looking forward to Week 17. You got any final words?
Nah, only thing I would say, man, I just think the 49ers right now is kind of becoming a class of their own. Um,
Right.
we'll see what, you know, I mean, obviously I can't speak about them without Philly. I don't, you know, with the Vikings, I think we seen them struggle with the Giants a little bit, but the 49ers and what they're doing, I just want to get them a nod, man. It looked like a tough out, man. It looked like they'd beat at the end of the day, man. But you know what I mean? It's a good week, man. A lot more clarity. Seahawks look like they continue that downward trend. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, man, let's go. See how this playoffs shake out.